Hello, beautifuls. First of all, I want to share this moment with you. It's 8:38 local time in the jungle. And I want to share the sounds in this place with you. So I'm going to move over so you can see my little spot in the river. I have a few things I want to chat about today, so I will be back, but I really want to give it a good 5 to 10 seconds of just amazingness. So I'm going to be out of the scene for a moment. So what I want to talk about today is a few things, and I might do 2 different lives or 3, so I'm not sure how it's going to flow. I'm just going to go with it. It's my last day here in the jungle. I'm moving to La Playa, going to the beach next. And I woke up this morning and got a hot drink and sat by one of the fireplaces and found myself in a delightful conversation with a yogi who's visiting here from far away. And she's older, and she asked about me and my history. And when I got to the part about nutrition after medicine, a 7-year work environment for me where I was doing nutrition research, working for a nutrition research company, studying plant-based pharmaceuticals, etc. She was really interested and shared with me that not only has she had years of stressful energy devoted to trying to find clean nutrients like vitamins for herself. Good morning. Good morning. But also she has just not known where to go for an understanding of human biology. And that with that comes an understanding of human pathology or human illness, right? Dis-ease, disharmony. So I want to just talk briefly about that here and say that similarly to energetic hygiene around psychic attacks, which I believe we talked about recently, or similarly to energetic hygiene around, there was something else that was so simple. I'm trying to think of what that was, but taking a binary, here's what it was. It was similarly to energetic hygiene around staying in your lane, because I was having this kind of conversation with somebody else, and not taking on worry about someone you love, etc. Taking a very simple binary approach to how you're feeling in the moment by saying, is this expansive or is this contracted? Am I feeling more at ease or less at ease? Similarly to that, I'm taking a pause because someone's approaching and I'm just trying to make sure that she knows that I'm inhabiting the space right now. So. I think I'm going to change my train of thought because I've lost my actual train of thought, and I want to make sure that I'm making the point that I'm trying to make, which is simply that this woman was surprised and delighted to hear me, a medical doctor, say to her that you can look at life biology, your health, simply as a balance of damage or detriment and repair, And I want to bring to this conversation the idea of harmony versus disharmony when it comes to the body and the physical system. I really want to simplify this very complex world of illness and disease and wellness, and really bring it down to the binary simplicity of, is this moment, is this environment, is this stimulus or this input in my system that I'm drinking, eating, absorbing, feeling, emotionally attending to, etc., creating or promoting harmony in my system or dissonance in my system? So that's the thesis statement of this conversation. And I'm going to take it a step further and say, when it comes to the DNA, we were taught in medicine that genetics are the basis of the human body's outplay, what the human looks like on the phenotypic level, what the human behaves like or has a tendency toward, what the human's ailments or propensities toward ailments are, right? It's all determined by your DNA map, right? As if the DNA is a blueprint for what your life, your body, your health propensities will display. And what has been determined or discovered, observed over time, I'd say the last 15 years, is that contrary to proper popular belief, the impact or the degree of influence of the genes is actually quite low. And when I was doing my nutrition research work, the degree of influence was about 10%, whereas when I was in medical school, I think we were talking about 70, 80%, right? Something ridiculously high. And science is actually demonstrating that the genetic influence is not such a static, permanent influence as we would have thought. And I simply just want to energetically bring in ease to that very static, disempowering concept and say, the DNA is actually absorptive. It's porous. It's malleable. What your genes are doing and what your DNA is displaying and governing and dictating and instructing your body to do is very, very malleable. It's not a one-way street like we thought it was, where the DNA is a map, a blueprint, like an architectural blueprint, right? That's then giving your body instructions on what to do, right? Hello and welcome. The DNA is actually, just imagine that same concept of that architectural blueprint, but the architectural blueprint is always changing based on, yes, what the mRNA and everything preceding, in air quotes, linearly thinking, preceding the DNA is telling it, but also what everything that proceeds what we thought would be coming after the DNA is giving the DNA as well. So literally, every element of your environment is providing data to your DNA. Okay? We are getting information from across the world, carried on the wind in the minerals in the air that are coming from the desert in Africa, for instance. Landing in the soil or the water bodies, nourishing the plants and the tree life around us, influencing the vegetation that we touch, interact with, see with our eyes, smell with our noses, and eat in our vegetables. We are all one contiguous unit, continuous network. And every bit of data, of input, auditory, visual, olfactory, tactile, all of it, extrasensory, is providing information and data to the system. I want to apologize for the rocky start to my video here, because it's a lot of layered thinking that I'm trying to culminate into an elegant message, and I'm easing into it more now. But it's a really important message. The DNA is not static. Your health outcomes are not static. What your body is, has a propensity to do is not static. We can change all of that. And I want you to think as far out to the bounds of your imagination around illness as you can get. And for a lot of people, that's cancer or disease that has been deemed incurable or without cure. And I want to say that even that is flexible, changeable, malleable. And that is a key reason that I will not practice medicine, because we don't have a way to use statistics to create a degree of certainty that would allow us legally in medicine to put a foothold on cure. So we avoid it and we call it incurable. Does that make sense? If this is making sense, and if you're tracking with me, send something so I can see that you're getting this. This is making sense. And if you have a question, please ask. I think this is a really valuable concept that I want to make sure people really get. So I'm going to see if I can make sure I see it. Okay? So this is definitely blending and foraying the realms of medicine, alternative medicine, integrative medicine, nutrition, emotional medicine, what you might call meditation, which is really making yourself porous to the environment, for some of you in some forms of meditation, mindfulness, connecting with Gaia, nature, Mother Earth, right? Yes, your DNA is always changing. Thank you for the hearts of confirmation. Your DNA is always changing. Yes, with your own awareness, with life experience, and how we respond to life. Thank you. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Sovereign Heart Mama. Exactly that. And I'm only talking about this because it came up today and it struck me as something I haven't spoken about in a long, long time. And it's so very important that we all recognize that that old paradigm of medical science understanding is just outdated, because it's beyond, because it's a reflection of what our brains can comprehend. We have to make sense of things in order to be a dominant scientific body. Does that make sense? So medicine's doing the best it can to stay ahead of nature, which really astounds it. Our brains can't understand all of it. We're not supposed to. And unfortunately, instead of being humble and recognizing that there's a lot we don't understand, we have to create bounds around it. And so that's where the medical portfolio does what it could. Conscious breathing helps me tremendously with so much. Awesome. I would love for you to share what happens for you with conscious breathing. Thank you for sharing that, because that's a very powerful tool for so many things. For, again, making yourself porous or absorptive to the environment, the healing frequencies of the environment. It's a great way to reset the system when it's feeling chaos frequencies of just confusion, frustration, anger, whatever those chaos frequencies are, fear in the face of a health challenge, right? Hi, guys. Hi, sister. All of that. So seeing that blueprint of the DNA as malleable, ever-changing, it's written in pencil, the architect is always erasing and restructuring it based on what the environment is bringing in at this moment is cool, powerful, really, really helpful to know that our bodies are always able to change a system. I love that sound so much. I feel like those bugs are cleaning the air. I feel like those bugs are like in a circle, just in harmony with each other, like in sync, like circling. It sounds so circular. It's like a big, like, I don't even know what it's like. It's like those hula hoops with the rocks in them, you know, and when you're going, you can hear the rocks going around in a circular way. That's what it feels like to be hearing that. It's amazing. So if we know that our blueprint is malleable, it's not static, that it's always being revised based on our environment, which I really want to make this so clear, right? The environment is not just what's happening outside of you, it's our internal milieu, it's our emotions, it's what we're attending to with our thoughts. Also, though, the blueprint is totally changeable by the elements on our deep inner world that physiology would identify as coming before the DNA, right? The mRNA, the rRNA, all those things that are like in the news right now. And I'm saying this to say it's important that we realize that our DNA, I'm just drawing it as this linear map, right, is being influenced from below and from above. This is the lesson. This is the awareness that this particular live is bringing to us. Because once those codes that I just passed along are received, now we know. And now our system is now available to the influence of that. That's the only reason that I'm on here. Okay? It's just to make that super clear. So when you're dealing with an ailment of any sort, and I'm thinking about on the physical level, but it could absolutely be on other levels, but I'm really thinking on the physical level, realize that you can hit it from multiple angles and that it's not static based upon what your DNA is saying. That's it. We're done. Okay. Now I'm going to start a new live because there's something else that I want to talk about. And if you haven't already and you're interested, definitely check out the Psychic Attack post because this is an important topic. And I want to start bringing up important topics, especially those topics for, I'm going to say, moms and women who are guardians of children, guardians of the household, who are energetically more sensitive than our male counterparts most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, so that we can start to become aware of the unseen or the more subtle elements that are at play around us. And it's not to be afraid of them in any way. It's simply to bring in a little bit more cleanliness to your home. You know, if you realize there was mold growing in your upper cupboards or whatever, you'd want to clean it out. Why freak out? Don't freak out because it's been there all along, right? It hasn't bothered you till now. So don't let it bother you. Just clean it up and be aware of it and be mindful of it, right? There's mold everywhere here in the jungle. It's a constant thing that houses have to battle. So vinegar in large gallon-sized containers is in every household. So if you do have mold, spray that shit with vinegar. That's something I learned here. All right, so I'll see you on the next live. Cheers.